If you're interested in local history, then what better way to start than by digging in your own back garden? That's exactly what the people of Whitwick have been doing as part of the Charnwood Roots project. The project is run by archaeologists from Leicester University, with support here from the Whitwick Historical Group.
I've always been interested in it, so when the opportunity came up, I would welcome them into my garden, just come and have a dig and see what they can find.
When we first moved into the area, we did a lot of gardening. We found a lot of bits of clay pipe, so we thought it might be an area that's got quite a lot of things to find in it.
They're all obviously local to the village, so it's nice that they can find out a little bit of the history on the village.
They were originally meant to be digging at the new Scout Hut ground, but when they went to assess it, they said that it was already disturbed too much, and that's why my husband then decided that they could come and dig in our back garden.
I was doing some research on the internet on various sites in the local area, happened to stumble across the actual Big Dig, inquired about it, and here I am.
I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Leicester, so I've been studying archaeology for quite a long time now. So I've come along here today as as you could call me, an experienced volunteer.
So I'm helping Dave and Sarah out with this dig in their back garden, in their beautiful back garden, which they've been so happy to give up to the project.
Doing a master's degree of archaeology at Leicester University, and they were looking for volunteers, and it's fun.
Yeah, it is really interesting, and my son, he's quite interested in the history and that as well. He finds it quite interesting at school.
We saw it in the Colville Eye and decided to email.
I got home from work and found out I'd been volunteered.
We don't get this in Canada. We find like one stone point within like 100 square kilometres, and that's a huge find for us.
And archaeology is important to know what's there and what was there before. And obviously the people in the village must have used these fields for their livelihood.
I saw the advert in the Echo, and I just thought it'd be really interesting to find out what might be under the soil in Whitwick.
I think it's something really interesting. Archaeology is always interesting, isn't it? You don't know what you're going to find here.
Well, I'm a member of Whitwick Historical Group, and we're very much organised in organising this.
And my grandma found this club, you see, and I wanted to join.
So we walked plough fields, and the children are really got in small pieces, and I think quite a lot of people would walk by and miss.
I've been digging and I've been sieving.
It's a great opportunity to take part in such a great thing. I mean, it's a community effort, 30 plus households, and this is one little piece of the jigsaw.
And I think the great thing is bringing the whole community together. I mean, that's what I love about a community dig like this, is the fact that you get people of all different ages, all different backgrounds, people that know each other, people that don't, archaeologists, professionals, people who've never done anything like this before, and you bring them all together into one kind of common research project, and that's a fantastic thing to be part of.
Well, it's sort of sandy soil. It's quite fine, but lots of stones in it.
The main thing's been tree roots in the way,
but not too much else.
So hopefully when we get a bit deeper it might get a bit more interesting.
We've had a few projects that are in the past for the historical group, sort of visiting places, but it's the first time they can do anything quite like this in terms of hands-on archaeology. We started at two pits quite close by, so they're sort of starting with the other pit, and we've got some of the slightly bigger scouts sort of digging the turf, which was quite hard initially, so we got those set up this morning, and these have been busily running away. So, but it's quite surprising the difference in the soil content between just 3 doors down and here. We've got a level off at this first bit, which is sort of modern garden, general mixed stuff, and then so they're just sort of drawing out the plot plan of where they are, and then they can get really into to the next stage.
The deeper we get, the harder it's getting, because we're getting more towards the clay, and it's so working slowly actually helps. If we think there was a Victorian mill at the bottom of the hill, and we think there was a bottling plant at the top of the hill, but that's in recent history. Prior to that, no idea.
I mean, you guys have so much history that's still in the ground compared to Canada, so I had to study archaeology here, and we don't even have projects like this, especially within our communities, so it's really nice to be a part of something like this that gets local people involved in learning about their heritage. So we don't really have that in Canada, so yeah, they told me about this opportunity. I said, of course, I'd love to do something like this, and it's been very fun. I don't know if we'll find anything.
Well, this is such an old and ancient part of Whitwick. It's never been built on before, this part of the village, and there must be something of interest under there. And we think it was part of the old field system, so before this area was cleared, the woods came this far, yes. But there was an old ancient trackway across here, which is now Hall Lane, so there would have been a track through it, even in very old times, and right back in the medieval times.
The deposit is changing, so up here is sort of medium brown, as you go deeper down, it turns into this sort of yellowy, clayey brown. So I'm expecting that we're going to hit natural fairly soon. It's basically when human activity stops and what you're digging is geology.
We know the Anglo-Saxons were here, and there's one little bit of pottery found towards Thringston Way, but so they were here, although we haven't found much.
It's very easy clay soil, and it's sort of, if you look over here, you've got the darker topsoil there, then you're down into the clay. Quite a few finds in the first 10 centimetre layer. It's on quite a slope going down into the old town, I think, so this would have been part of the open field system, I would have thought. They would basically put everything on a hand cart and took it out to the fields and manured everything up, so everything would have gone on it. And we're finding a few bits of pottery, quite a lot of sort of Victorian, the last 200 years pottery. A few nails, but they look modern. There's a few bits and bobs of flint.
It was quite interesting yesterday. We had about, I'd say 40 centimetres of topsoil where we had finds, post-medieval finds, of course. Bit of glass shards. We found a very nice glass shard of one of those water bottles they were producing here, where you could still read char on the glass shard. We found a very nice teaspoon, which probably was lost about 5 years ago when they built the patio. But yeah, since about late afternoon yesterday, we got a change in soil. We now have a bit more clay soil with lots of stones. We got really big stones in there, and no finds at all for the last 1.5 spits. So it's a bit disappointing now. We do hope that it's just backfill from building the house, so there might still be something down there. But we're almost down to 60 centimetres, and when one has a look at the house and how they built the terrace for the house, the backfill could actually be more than the remaining 40 centimetres we have to dig. So I'm not that sure whether we'll get beneath the backfill level.
No, I think that's the interesting thing about it. Even when you dig a garden, just ordinary, you never know what you're going to dig up. I know people over the years have dug there, but sometimes, you know, you don't know, do you? Well, it's mainly dark, which is natural really, because there's a lot of coal slack where probably somebody's dumped it there, you know, and it's trodden down. But you can see now we're reaching a clay, a different colour, and I think if you're going to find anything, you'll find anything interesting, you'll find it down here.
Small stuff.
So we've got some wire here which isn't live or anything to worry about, we've checked it. And we've got a bit of metal here which goes all the way under, I think.
Everybody's in very high spirits, ready to go, and some children were struggling to get out of bed. They slept very well yesterday, apparently, but everybody's very excited and yeah, weatherproofed. You always have your waterproofs with you, so whatever the weather, you're out, sort of out. So
it doesn't stop for the weather?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I've dug in snow. It's not. No, it doesn't. We just keep going.
The weather's took a turn for the worst, but.
Yeah. You seem to have got quite a way down with the hole anyway.
Yeah, we've discovered a load of bricks covered in plastic, and we've since found out there used to be a pond here. Matthew's told us to reduce the size of the trench so we can at least get down a bit further safely, and hopefully something else will turn up. We're on the outer edge of the village, so back in medieval times this is all ridge and furrow. Not a lot of datable things might be found here, but early things. But you never know. As we get down to the edges of the clay, who knows what we'll find.
But this one's been a bit better. There's some pottery coming out of this.
Right, I gather that the other one didn't find anything.
Yeah, it went very quickly down to clean clay with nothing much in it. So it's very hard going, obviously because they're quite little as well. But they're doing really, really well. I mean, they've opened and finished a test pit already in a day. So. And then it looks like we'll get this one finished as well, so it'll be added into the record. And they're still out there sieving away, trying to find little bits of pottery. They're really, really good at finding small bits of pottery.
Every single test pit is unique. We had quite an interesting one over on Church Lane where they thought that they were getting through some down to deeper soil, and then found some bricks and a crisp packet, and there we were back in the 1970s. So you never do know until you start digging what you're going to find. But we did have some really lovely little clay pipes. We had one that came out that was had a little carved rabbit on it, which was absolutely gorgeous. So yes, it's been a good day.
It's a great opportunity for younger people to get into stuff like this, because you don't hear much about it.
It's just good fun.
Well, I think yesterday was a fantastic day, and the volunteers worked really hard and they dug really well. I mean, they got through, in many cases, 40 to 60 centimetres of soil, and they were finding quite a lot of interesting objects. We had a few bits of medieval pottery coming out, and mostly post-medieval and modern finds.
We found a very nice teaspoon.
Found a plastic arm.
And we found a plastic pig.
That'll be dateable, I think.
It's a bit of an earthenware pot.
And we have had one coin that's apparently about 30 years old.
A find's a find, so I can't really argue with that, can you?
We're finding bits and bobs of nails and gardener stuff.
Yes, found some bits of pottery and some. We found quite a lot of nails, about 4 or 5 different nails in there as well.
Most of the stuff we are finding is garden waste or building related material.
Just a bit of the material from the glass bottle factories around here, which was pretty interesting.
We had a piece of worked flint found today up at North Street, and they were absolutely overjoyed. And in fact, the archaeologist that's working up there is a specialist in flint, so he was really thrilled, and it was great that he was on site to be able to explain to the volunteers exactly what they were looking at and how he could tell that it had been worked.
We're like, oh, it's
We're
a coin.
very excited because it's a coin. So we have some nice glazed pottery and some decorated glass. Oh, here, and some china. Yeah, the body of a deer.
So I saw that and thought it might fit.
A little tree, yes.
So it's probably like a little china cup or something like that.
I can't praise the volunteers highly enough, really, because they've kept going even though the weather's been bad, and they've really thrown themselves into it, and we couldn't do it without them.
Meanwhile, back at base, teams of volunteers have been carefully sorting and washing the finds for the experts to examine and record.
It was quiet to start with, of course, because nothing was coming in, but then it got very busy, a bit manic, and we've now got bags waiting to be done, I think.
And a very few pieces of post-medieval pots. So some of the medieval is 12th, 13th century, and there's one bit of green glaze so far, which is possibly 13th century. So a little bit disappointing. So everything seems to be very churned up. You know, it seems to be modern finds as we go down, but we still haven't finished, so there's always hope.
I think it's a loom, and we think it's made of stone. It's all cracked on the outside, and there's a hole right through the middle. So the idea is that you record the shape of it, and then you try and estimate the thickness of the shape on the inside of it as well. But I can't do that exactly with this piece because it's completely full up at the moment, so I can't see clearly through it. It's an estimation. One's like a plan view, looking at the outside of the object, and then you do what they call a section. So it's literally as though you cut through the object to see the shape and form inside the object. And we do that for every sort of piece that we draw. So all the bits of pottery that we draw, we do a plan view, the outside view of it, and then we do a section, so we show the thickness and shape of it. So on this piece where you've got the shape, the form of the object. So, and then the right-hand side, the drawing would show the outside of it. So if there's any decoration on the outside of the pot, then I'd record that on the right-hand side of the drawing.
These are all carefully measured?
Yeah, everything's measured. Really, really nice piece is this one from Test Pit 27, Spit 2. And it's got a tiny little bunny rabbit on the end there. There's really fine detail on it, so whether it's made in a mould. So this is part of another clay pipe, which is the long piece that you smoke through, and it's got a football pipe written on one side, and if you turn it over onto the other side, into the back, it's got play up Leicester.
We'll take all of the fines back to the university, and the fines processing, it's gone through a sort of basics processing stage where they've weeded out the things that aren't going to be of any use or interest, and then they'll go and actually make a pottery report and another sort of small fines report, which will probably take several weeks before that's done, and then we'll be able to start seeing patterns across the test pits. So at what level are we reaching medieval, for example? Are there clusters of particular types of fines in certain areas? And we'll be able to put that together with some of the documentary evidence that we've done and just try to make sense of what's going on, really. You can always think, well, it would have been nice if we'd found this or nice if we'd found that, but I think the important thing is everybody's enjoyed themselves, and hopefully we'll have some interesting finds that will be able to tell us something new about Whitwick.